Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is another one of those Asian movie collection addendum videos, because it's that time of year again, so I want to get at least somewhat caught up. I got a bunch of movies I'm going to cover here this evening, so grab some hot cocoa or some alcohol and a snack. Because we got a variety of films from different regions. We got some Chinese movies, Korean, Japanese, and some others. So let's get to it. I gotta use my notes with some of this stuff because I go off the cuff with these videos. So let's do the Chinese stuff first. Chinese and Hong Kong films. This one I reviewed on my channel a while back. Cook Up a Storm. Yeah, Cook Up a Storm. There's Nicholas Che there. This one I really enjoyed. I think this is like a really good cooking movie. It's came out in 2017. It also co-stars Anthony Wong. A Cantonese street cook, Nicholas Che, faces off against his new rival, a French-trained, Michelin-starred chef played by Yonghua Zheng, who recently opened a restaurant across the street. So yes, any movie about food is up my alley, and this is just a glorious exhibition of just cooking and food interaction. Some great cooking scenes in this. I kind of like the character interaction in it. I definitely recommend this. Check out my full-length review on my channel. Now, this is the Region 3 release. This is the Hong Kong release with English subtitles. No special features. Yeah, Cook Up a Storm. This is anything that's quality that deals with cooking I'm going to like, and I enjoyed that one. Next one is a classic. I guess a newer classic to a certain degree. That is Election, the Johnny To film. Now, this Election DVDs are actually hard to come by nowadays. I had to look for a while to get this at even a remotely reasonable price. I forgot where I bought this, but this is an all-region release. I may have bought it off of Amazon or eBay. And this movie, and remember, this is a two-part series. There's Election and Election 2, also known as Triad Election, both directed by Johnny To. And basically with Election, let me look here, a triad holds an election to determine their next leader, which turns out to be Simon Yam, after which the loser of the election decides to take matters into his own hands. So this is kind of like a very different gangster film. Very different. Not only do you have this like democratic like election process where people in the gangster underworld elect their next leader, which is pretty cool. So there's a lot to do with I guess the logistics and ramifications of having that system, which is totally different from a typical, Italian mafia film where like the family takes over, you know what I mean? It ain't like that here. So there's a totally different dynamic for a gangster flick in this. And much of the film is like a thriller, suspense thriller, because there's like a ceremonial baton that is like very, I guess you can't be considered the leader of this group unless you have the baton after you're elected, which is kind of interesting. And these guys keep stealing the baton. So there's plenty of like shenanigans regarding the baton changing hands. So that's Election basically for you. I am going to review this and Election 2 at some point in the near future because I'm still going through the Johnny To stuff. So yeah, Election is a cool flick. I think the sequel is better than this, but this is still a good movie. And if you could somehow find a physical copy of it, snatch it up. No special features on this. Next we have the Maiden Rose. It's the Maiden Rose. Now the main reason I got this, and you can see this coming from a mile away, it's got Zhou Xun. Any movie with Zhou Xun, I'm going to watch it if I can find it. Now this movie was pretty good. It's a film about 3 generations of Chinese women set in 3 periods, the 1930s, the 1960s, the 1990s. And the Maiden Rose is a traditional wine that is prepared in a certain area of China. And it's given to a girl on her wedding day. Again, pretty good film overall. There's some political and dramatic conflicts that enter the fray. There's also a lot of emphasis on winemaking as well, which I enjoyed. It does get a bit melodramatic at times, maybe a little bit too much. And Zo Shun only shows up during the first third of the film, during the first era, I believe. This movie was made in 1995. This is a very young Zo Shun in this. This is the earliest film I've been able to find with her, so it's really interesting seeing her as, she had to be a teenager when this came out, or very young. So, yes, very interesting film if you want to check it out. Not a high priority, but if you're a fan of the actress and you can find it, check it out. It's a pretty good flick. Now, a movie that's better than pretty good. I have a review of this, full-length review on my channel, Raise the Red Lantern. This, again, this physical release I think is more expensive now as well, so I snatched it up before it went out of print. This is Zhang Yimou. I have a full-length review of this. This is one of the best Chinese films of all time. And I mentioned in my review that back when I was on like the IMDb message boards, we had like our little Asian board, our Asian movie discussion board, and we had a poll as to the best Asian movies of all time, like as of 2000 and I think we did it like 2009 or something like that. And this movie won. It was the winner. So that tells you how good this is. Again, check out my full-length review. This is just the visuals in this film are insane. Just the atmosphere alone, it's worth watching. And this is about set in 1920s China. Following the death of her father, a beautiful 19-year-old college student, played by Gong Li, agrees to marry a wealthy nobleman. But after she goes into his estate, she has conflicts with the other ladies in the palace. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So it's there's a lot of infighting between the women trying to earn, I guess, the attention of the husband. So it's a very interesting dynamic here, culturally and all kinds of stuff. So if you have not seen this, you absolutely have to check out Raise the Red Lantern. No real special features on this, it looks like. But definitely check it out. Now we got like an action thriller. I'd say more of a thriller than an action movie. And I review this on my channel as well. So I keep you guys in the loop. When I watch a good flick that's newer, I do a review of it. I don't keep you in the dark too often. Mrs. K, it's like a Hong Kong thriller. This is the Region 3 Hong Kong release. And this is basically about a woman who lives a comfortable life with her husband and their daughter. And she has a past. Let's see here. What will we go? A stranger shows up at her house party and taunts her with questions about her past. And she begins to realize that her long-ago participation in a casino robbery in Macau is coming back to haunt her. So she's got a tangle with her former, gangster or criminal associates to protect her family. This is a good flick. Now, the lead actress, Kara Wai, is very good. You've seen her in a bunch of movies. You got Simon Yam in this, of course. So this is a good flick, but I think I mentioned in my review that this is less of an action movie than it is a thriller. So expect more of a thriller. I think the best action scene occurs at the end of the film. So check this out if you haven't already as well. Remember, it's a Region 3 release, no special features. Mrs. K. It's good. Now here's one that I found slightly disappointing. It's watchable, but not as good as the first film in the franchise. And that is Color of the Loyalty. Now back in the day, and I don't even think I reviewed... Did I review Color of the Truth on my channel? If not, I should. Because Color of the Truth is the first film in this franchise. Color of the Loyalty is the second. And then there's another one that came out a few years ago that's the third that I don't think I've seen yet. But I didn't even know this film existed until fairly recently. This is it's a gangster flick. You basically have... Let me fire up my notes here. It's a film by Wong Jing, which usually is not a good thing. But The first one, Color of the Truth, was really good. So Color of the Loyalty is a crime drama. A gangster boss, played by Erik, wants to retire, leading to chaos in gangland as everybody else desires his position and accumulated fortune. But one of his young foot soldiers, played by Sean Yu, may have a line to the throne. So again, the characters and conflicts are not as interesting or dynamic as its predecessor, and there's not nearly as much action in this. It's more of a drama. A few pretty good action scenes, but nothing special. Story's a bit cliche, but it's watchable. I would classify this as a watchable gangster film, but check out Color of the Truth if you haven't seen it yet, because that's a fun movie. Color of the Loyalty was okay. You also have Roy Chung in this. And this is the all-region release, no special features. Now this next one is kind of a big one, but not because it's a good movie. Have you ever gone online and seen a poster or a DVD or Blu-ray cover art for a film and it intrigued you? You know, it intrigued you. You're sitting there like, that's quite intriguing. But you always pass it by. You always pass it up. You know, you're just like, I don't know. I'm just not, or you never had the opportunity to get it. Maybe it was too expensive, or it was available to rent and you didn't have the service at the time. Well, this is one of those movies, and I finally watched it not too long ago. And that is Frozen. Yes, Frozen. Now, this is a Chinese film. I want to say it was on Netflix, but it was always like a very long wait, if that makes sense. So I saw this. This is such a striking picture. The dude's like buried in the ground. And it almost looks like it's in like the winter time. It's the blue and it's called Frozen. I'm like, what the heck is this about? And it always intrigued me. I kid you not, I saw this for the first time, like this poster, way back in like the mid-2000s. And the film itself was made in 1996. So eventually, a few months ago or whatever, I saw it on Amazon. Or it came up in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, there was that one movie I always wanted to watch. So I fired up Amazon and finally found it. And it was like $3 for a DVD. I'm like, this is so cheap. I may as well watch it because I've always wanted to see it. I never even knew what it was about. So this is the Region 1 US release. Special features are just filmographies and stuff that you don't care about. So, this movie, the premise is phenomenal. It's basically about a young performance artist who decides to make his own suicide his last work of art. Now, that's pretty intriguing. Great premise, thoughtless execution. I did not feel like this film even really explored the premise all that much. Really kind of disappointing. It was actually quite boring to watch. And I was expecting it to be a little bit more atmospheric as well. It's just pretty cheaply produced and not all that interesting from a visual standpoint. Very matter-of-fact dialogue. People talk about suicide almost through exposition. Like the themes aren't really explored in an intelligent way. Everything's just kind of obvious, very matter of fact. There's also a lot of dead weight and filler material as well. I mean, within the opening half hour, this film started to lose me when it contributed an overly long scene of two dudes who have an eating competition and try not to puke. So I'm just like, come on, man, don't you have something more interesting to tell me here? And then it lost me by the midpoint. So it does have a few interesting things that happened during the second half, but I really felt like this was a huge missed opportunity. Huge missed opportunity. I mean, the premise is phenomenal, but just didn't come through. It's one of those things. And this movie was on my mind on and off for over a decade. Did not come through. But it looks pretty cool, though, doesn't it? Now, here's a holy grail. Here's a holy grail DVD purchase of a film I've been looking for forever. This is one of those films that had a legitimate U.S. release I'm almost certain I saw this on Blockbuster Online when they send the DVDs in the mail, or the Netflix DVD service. One of the two. I don't think I used an Asian service to watch this one. Maybe I did, but I'm pretty sure it said a U.S. release, and it went out of print. And this is a Region 1 release. I wonder who released this. I can't really tell. But regardless, it's Deja Vu. Yes, I saw this movie ages ago, and I always remember enjoying it. It's got Zhao Wei, and this is early Zhao Wei. This is like turn of the century Zhao Wei. This movie came out in, I want to say 2000 or 1999. It's a romance, and Zhao Wei stars in this what-if story, and it compares the compatibility or incompatibility of couples by showing a woman experiencing the same dates with different men. So it's almost like, what if she dated this guy and went to this place? Or what if she dated a different guy and went to that place? How would that work? What would the differences be? And then it goes back and it says, okay, now, those same two guys, it basically alternates throughout the film. It's like, okay, she dated the other guy, how would it work here? If she dated, guy B, what would happen here? And it kind of ebbs and flows. You're not really sure, like, who's going to end up with who. You know what I mean? It's like, they're compatible in this situation, but not in this situation. So how does that work out in a relationship? You know what I mean? It's an interesting movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And as a romance, it's quite different. And it actually turns the compatibility element on its head in certain spots, too. So this is one that's kind of special to me, just because it's such an early Zhao Wei vehicle, and it has that early 2000s, late 90s Chinese aesthetic to it, where everything, like the camera work is all very soft, and it just has a certain aesthetic to it that I enjoy. And you have a young Zhao Wei who actually cuts loose. She's quite animated in this, which is fun to see. So I definitely recommend this. This DVD is almost impossible to find. I've been looking for this for years, and I found it on eBay? I forgot where I found this. This is a legit release as well. So if you want a different romance film, check this one out. I might have to do a review of this. You probably noticed during the past year, there are certain occasions where I'll review, in a separate review, a movie that's hard to find. So, like, this year I reviewed Jam Films, which is not super easy to find, and Tales of the Unusual, which is not super easy to find, just because I had to review them on my channel. And given the situation of physical media consistently going out of print with no streaming option available for a lot of these movies, that's going to be a little bit more common on my channel. So this might be one that I cover. It's like a special, thing, and then you could find it any way you can. We'll just put it that way, right? And I actually have a review like that coming up on, I think, like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, kind of a special Korean film that's been out of print for ages. So I'm going to do that a little bit more on this channel. Not too much, because it could be an inconvenience for people to just constantly hear about movies they can't find, right? But once in a while, I'm going to do it. Finally, on the Chinese batch, one of the greatest films of all time. I'm not overstating this. The City of Life and Death. Yes, this is the American release, the US release. 2-disc special edition. I haven't actually seen all the special features on this. It has a making of featurette, which is like an hour long. Wow, really? That was 2 hours long. I gotta watch that. You gotta be kidding me. Yes, this is just an absolutely phenomenal war film. I have a separate review of this on my channel. Check out my separate review. I go into it. This is a Chinese movie that actually has a nice balance at depicting Japanese soldiers and stuff like that. And this is not an easy movie to sit through. It's still gorgeous to watch as well. Shot in black and white. And just everything about this movie is just insanely high quality. From the acting all the way to the production values are unbelievable. There's some battle scenes that are great. But you have to be ready for an emotionally draining and pretty harrowing experience with this. And this is the first time I ever saw Gao Yuanwan in a movie. And this is still one of her best performances. She's really good in this. You get Yi Liu in this as well. If you have not seen this, it is an absolute must-watch. This is a 2009 film as well, fairly recent. So when you hear people say that China doesn't make good movies, you could tell them to kiss your rear end and watch this one. Because this is a good movie. All right. Now, what are we going to next? Korean? The Korean? Yeah, there's only a few Korean films that I purchased recently. This one I reviewed on my channel. Pluto. Yes, Pluto. This is the Region 3 release with subs. It does have an interview with the director and the Suwon Shin and the actress Kopi Kim. Love Kopi Kim. That's one of the main reasons I watched this for the first time back in the day. And it was so good I decided to buy it and review it for the channel. It's a story about elite high school seniors who are preparing to go to prestigious universities, and there's a bit of a corrupt system at play. And power plays going on. It's about power. It's about getting to that top spot in the class and getting into those prestigious universities. And there's a lot of good stuff in this. This gets pretty intense too. This is good stuff. Check out my full-length review. If you have not seen Pluto, I definitely recommend it. It is a very good movie. Especially if you like high school coming of age. Well, maybe not coming of age, but high school themed films. Here's another one that is difficult to find nowadays. But there's a chance I might review it just because I remember it being so good. And that is Ing. Yes, Ing. So this one has my girl Soo Young Lim, also known as Im Soo Young in Korea. This one is a traditional Korean melodrama, and it's about a young girl with a terminal illness who develops a relationship with the boy living in the apartment below her. And this is high quality Korean melodrama. This is a lot of people mention A Moment to Remember as a great one, or Christmas in August. This is in that stratosphere, maybe a little bit below those films, but it's up there in terms of its execution. Phenomenal acting in this. A few neat little plot developments as well. There's some laugh out loud moments, funny moments in this to help you really connect with the characters. Very kind of emotionally powerful as well. I definitely cried when I watched this one. I think I've only seen this movie one time. I have not rewatched it yet. So I almost feel like I want to review it because it'll force me to rewatch it again. But I remember this being really good. No special features on it. This is the Region 3 Korean release, which is pretty difficult to find now. So I'm going to say that with every movie, right? Alright, we got one with an actress that I'm a big fan of, and I've covered quite a bit on this channel. I forgot what I rated this movie. See, this movie's one that wasn't quite as good as I remember. But it's Two Faces of My Girlfriend from 2007. Now in this one, it's a romantic comedy. A guy meets a girl with a fractured psyche. She's sweet and cuddly one minute, rude and violent the next. So what does that sound like to you? There's some similarities here with My Sassy Girl for sure. This was riding off the My Sassy Girl juggernaut, right? But it also has its own little nuances. I like the chemistry between the actors. The humor is good. I would say the second half is not as good as the first half because the pacing slows down, gets pretty cheesy and cliche during the second half. But still, for Ryo Won-jung, she is just awesome in everything, and she's good in this as well. It's funny, in my notes, I say, because I saw this back in the day, like 2007, 2008, and I said in my notes, Ryo Won-jung is another actress to look out for, and I was right on that one. I called that one big time. So if you want like a fun romantic comedy that's not, it's not great, but it's entertaining enough, check out Two Faces of My Girlfriend. This is the Region 3 Korean release with subs. No special features. Then I got a Tartan video release, which I always buy Tartan stuff if I can find it. Reviewed this on my channel. Samaritan Girl. Yes, Samaritan Girl. Kim Ki-duk. This film's really good. This was when Kim Ki-duk was just on a scorching hot streak during the mid-2000s where he could just do no wrong. You know what I'm saying? Check out my full-length review of this. It's a very good movie. Deals with some touchy themes like schoolgirl prostitution and stuff like that. So, just be prepared for that. To fulfill their dreams of traveling to Europe, two teenage girls start a prostitution business. So the one handles the business side, the other one services the clients. And the way this kind of portrays prostitution is very different from most movies. I can see some people having a problem with it, but this is a very good flick. What are the special features? Photo gallery, Tartan new release, trailers, that's about it. Check it out. Alright, those are the Korean releases. Now, let's do the Japanese releases, and then I got a few more other ones. Now, this is like, a lot of these movies I purchased throughout the year. I didn't just buy these like one day, last week. Alright? I don't have that much money. Alright. This one, very unheard of. No one talks about it, but it's one of my favorite comedies. I feel like I have to review it. I really do need to review this. This is the Region 3 release with subtitles of Judge with an exclamation point. Judge! Now the cast in this, you got Satoshi Sumabuki, Keiko Kitagawa, Atsushi Toyokawa, who I usually don't like very much, but he's actually good in this. So, yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Some good stuff. Now, what this is a major advertising festival. It's held each year to determine the world's best television commercial. So you have Rookie Kichiro, played by Satoshi Sumabuki, at a Japanese advertising agency, is selected as a judge on the jury, with his co-worker Hikari, played by Keiko Kitagawa, to act like husband and wife there. So it's pretty interesting. So you have competitors from all over the world, and they basically vote on each other's commercials and see which one's the best. So it's, this movie's hilarious. I really enjoy. Again, I haven't seen this one in a few years either. I gotta rewatch this one. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, no special features on this, but check out Judge. Not to be confused, there's another thing called Judge, wasn't there? But the one with Satoshi Sumabuki you want to watch. Very funny comedy. There's some great advertisements. They're just hilarious, too. We have another really good comedy. Shall We Dance? Oh, yeah, I've reviewed this on my channel. At least I keep up with most of these. I review most of these, right? Check out my full-length review for my thoughts. And you basically have Koji Yakusho. And, he's a businessman, and he takes up some dancing lessons because he sees a beautiful lady in the window and he's intrigued by her. So he takes some dancing lessons and hilarity ensues. But a lot of the humor is pretty low-key, with the exception of Naoto Takanaka's character, who is delightfully wacky in his role. This is one of the few Japanese films that actually got some decent box office in the U.S., which I was surprised to hear about. So, special features on the U.S. release. A look inside Hollywood's Shall We Dance theatrical release, starring Richard Gere and Jennifer Lopez. That movie's not very good, in my opinion. And that's the only special feature. Thanks. You think you could have at least covered something on the Japanese film? In any case, highly acclaimed comedy, very charming, and it's good. It's quite good. Check it out if you have not seen this. Shall We Dance? You want the Japanese one, not the one with Richard Gere. I covered this one on my channel, Aragami. This is the US release. This is, remember, I did the director duel. I reviewed the whole director duel thing earlier this year, I believe. You know, this is Ryuhei Kitamura's submission. And then Yukihiko Tsutsumi did 2LDK, which I personally prefer. Some people prefer Aragami. So it's always fun watching those two movies back-to-back on the same night. Do your own little, you can relive the director's duel and pick which one you like the most. Now, Aragami, I'll do the special features first because I'll forget. You got making of, the press conference. It's fun watching the press conferences for both of these films. An RP battle. I think that's just like the directors talking smack to each other. The film premiere, video messages, and other premiere footage. So this one, you have fleeing from unseen enemies, 2 wounded samurai stumble upon a mysterious temple in a remote region of the mountains. Unable to go any further, they collapse from exhaustion. One wakes to find himself miraculously healed and in the care of a most eccentric host. And there could be a sword fight down the stretch between these guys. So that's your you just watch my my video on the director duel, the Japanese director's duel. And I go into pretty decent detail in terms of, you know, what the films are about. And, you know, how the whole thing, the whole project came together where you had 2 directors basically dueling with their own films. And, like, the restrictions that they placed on each other to keep the budgets down. It's really, really kind of interesting. And in this you have Takao Osawa, who's pretty popular. And you have Masaya Kato, one of the coolest actors of all time. Yeah. Check out Aragami. This one actually grew on me after a repeat viewing. It's good. It's good. Alright. I don't know what took me so long. But I finally got the Rurouni Kenshin Trilogy. Yes. The Rurouni Kenshin Trilogy. This is the first one. Origins. Part 1 Origins. Now this is the US release. There are some previews as an extra, so that's nice. And I bought the whole trilogy. If you have not seen these movies, you gotta watch them. All 3 of them. You know what I mean? You have Takeru Sato, I believe, in the lead role. I think I got his name right? And it's just an old school samurai era awesome action movie series. All 3 films are really good. And, you know, as a continuing storyline with all 3 films, parts 2 and 3 are almost like one big movie cut in half, which is pretty interesting. But the sword fighting in this is phenomenal. It's some of the best sword fighting you will ever see in a movie, like ever. And these movies it's legit. You know what I mean? It is the sword fighting in this movie is just as good as any of the classic samurai era films. I mean, it's a little bit more flashy. The character designs are less realistic, but in terms of sword fighting, it's just unreal. It's unreal. And apparently we might be getting part 4 and 5. I think they're making 2 more. I don't know if it's going to be a prequel or a sequel. I actually don't even want to know. I mean, you basically have the same director and the main actor coming back. That's all I care about. I'll worry about the plot when I get to the movie theater or watch it on streaming or you know, Blu-ray, right? Yeah, these are legit, my friends. Again, these are like one of the best examples of live-action adaptations from Japan of manga or anime. These are the ones that people usually all agree on, or at least good, if not great. But there's, like I mentioned in my review of, what was it, Kingdom? Not too long ago, I rattled off a list of pretty good adaptations, or Japanese films that I think are good adaptations. So the list is growing. But watch those if you have not seen them. And I need to do a review of those, don't I? I don't have a separate review of those on my channel, which is kind of ridiculous. I really need to review those at some point. Then, the last Japanese purchase, A Record of Sweet Murder. I cannot believe this got a legit US release with subtitles. Because Koji Shiraishi's films rarely get legit releases. I mean, yeah, you got Sadako vs. Kayako on streaming. You have some of his earlier stuff, like Carved. What else got a legit release? Cult. I was surprised Cult got a legit release, too. So a few of his films do, but a lot of his films are ignored. None of the Senritsu Kaiki File films got released. Almost none of his found footage stuff gets released. I mean, Noroi was out of print and inaccessible for ages until it finally showed up again on streaming a few years ago, and I don't even know if it's still available. But Record of Sweet Murder, I covered this in my Asian horror playlist from, I believe, 2014. This one came out. Check out my video on 2014 for this. This is an interesting movie. Now remember, Koji likes to do his found footage. He likes to do his wacky, otherworldly, alternate dimension stuff. You know what I mean? I recently reviewed Koji Shiraishi's film Hell Girl on my channel, which is one of his best. But he also likes to do his gritty films. This one, Record of Sweet Murder, he did Grotesque, if you remember. Now this one doesn't get as violent as Grotesque, but it does have its gritty aspects. You have this dude who has to kill a certain number of people for a reason, and a reporter played by Kopi Kim, who for some reason shows up in Japanese movies on occasion. You know, she was in this. Oh man, what was the other one she was in? I'm losing my mind. But she'll occasionally show up in a Japanese film, which is interesting. Oh, she was in It's a Beautiful Day or something like that. I covered that in my Asian horror playlist. And there was another one too. Oh darn, what was it? Was it Cold Fish? Darn, she was in a few. I gotta look it up. I have to look it up. It's killing me. But this movie's pretty good. You know, it's a little slow. It's a little bit slow at times, like it builds up. The ending, Koji Shiraishi is a director who sticks his endings, which is kind of rare for horror films, if you think about it. You know, a lot of horror films might be good, and then the ending, you're just like, eh. You know, they couldn't have thought of something better. But he sticks his endings, and he sticks this one as well. Come on, Kopi. Let's take it forever. Take a look at this while I look at my internet here. Yeah, but this is a good one. And actually, I bought this has no special features. Well, it has a still gallery and a few trailers, but nothing great. But I also bought the Region 2 release before they announced the Region 1. So I bought the Region 2 release without subtitles like early in the year or something, and then after that, like, oh, Koji Shiraishi film getting released on Region 1 DVD. It's like, it never happens. People just ignore this guy in the West, and they decide to release this one after I already buy it. So, actually, I like the DVD cover art of the Japanese version better. I think it's pretty cool. It's better than the American one. And the back is quite cool as well. So yeah, Kopi Kim was in, I'm missing one, and it's irritating me. A Record of Sweet Murder, Grateful Dead. That's the one she was in. A Record of Sweet Murder, Grateful Dead. Yeah, It's a Beautiful Day. So yeah, she shows up. Alright. That's it for the Japanese films. Now, all I got left are the remaining films. Then we got a kind of a Chinese, American, Thailand co-production and a Vietnamese film. Well, this is the movie that every single person was disappointed in. Every single person on the internet was disappointed in this next movie, except for me. Every single person on the internet, except for me. I have a full-length review of it on my channel. Triple Threat. Yes, even the people who like this movie were disappointed in it. And I have no idea why. I don't. I have a full-length review of this on my channel. I've seen this movie like 4 times, and it gets better every time I watch it. I just don't get what you people are asking for. It's not as good as The Raid. That doesn't mean it's terrible. You just got Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, Tiger Chen, Scott Atkins, Michael Jai White, etc., etc. Gigi Ayanen, Selena Jade. It's just an old school action flick. You got a bunch of fighting, a bunch of shootouts, nonstop action. This movie wastes no time. Like all the things that I think are important in an action movie. I mean, it's not perfect though. You know what I mean? You could have, like, there's a fight early on between Tony Jaa and Iko, which I think should have been a lot longer than what it was. It was a little bit too much of a tease. And, there's certain aspects that could have been improved on. It's not a perfect film. But this movie's so watchable, it's ridiculous. It's so easy to watch. I think some people wanted Iko to do more stuff during the middle section of the film, too. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm totally satisfied with this. This is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack from the U.S. It's got an interview with the cast and some trailers. Yeah, I could see myself watching this movie like 2 or 3 times a year. It's just, it reminded me a little bit like, oh, come on. I always forget the name of it. Come on. It's a Sammo Hung movie. You could probably think about it before me. Sammo Hung, Joyce Godenzi. Let me look it up. I always forget the name. It's like Condor something. What is it? 1990, 1986? Project A? No. Where is it? It's a movie. No, I'm killing you, people. I know. I can't find it. Eastern Condors. It's like Eastern Condors. You get like that jungle type mix to it, and then early on in the film, it's like a mix of action and martial arts. It reminded me of Eastern Condors. And Eastern Condors, a lot of people consider to be a classic. So if you go in expecting like an Eastern Condors type film, this is what this is. But nowadays, everything needs to be as good as the Raid, otherwise it's terrible. All right. Furie from Vietnam. This one, most people don't have a problem with. So, I really like this one. Veronica Ngo, who I've been following for like a decade now. Ever since she did The Rebel with Johnny Wynn and Clash with Johnny Wynn. It was really nice to see her again headlining an action movie. And this is probably her best film to date. Although I do like The Rebel a lot. This one, again, real lean. Doesn't have much wasted time. Her daughter gets kidnapped. She just beats up a bunch of people to try to get her daughter back. That's your plot. Yeah, this is a good flick. It's apparently okay that this one wasn't as good as The Raid, because it doesn't have Iko in it, right? But yeah, Furie, if you have not seen this, check this out. This is a good solid action movie. No special features, really. Although it has a trailer and a brief behind-the-scenes featurette. So there you go. There you have it. Those are my pickups. Not bad. Got through them all. I actually have more that I bought throughout the course of the year. Maybe I'll do another DVD collection video at some point the next few weeks. Although the month is moving fast. So yeah, so I'll try to get a few reviews of the ones I haven't reviewed yet out. The ones that I mentioned. Eventually, maybe early next year. But, yes, as always, I will see you next time.